off. Well, not everyone. We talked with Tanya J. Powers yesterday, Stephanie, and she was like, well, I'm going to be working Monday, but I like working Monday. And I guess we thank the people like the police officers in Jefferson City that we saw at the foundation dinner last night, the police officers in Columbia and Springfield and all around our area. We really appreciate you guys and gals.
I'm going to be working some this weekend, but I'm not like Tanya. I'll be crabby about it.
Yeah, me too. I'll be.
Hopefully, I can align my work with the rain.
I'm going to be catching up on charts.
I can get outside.
Yeah. Do we have some rain coming? I know Tony said we might get a nice Sunday and Monday. Has that changed?
Yeah, I mean, there is some chance. I have a gripe or a question.
No,
and this
not
is,
you with a gripe.
No.
A Gen Zer griping about something?
Wait,
is
Stephanie,
DoorDash too expensive, Drake?
This is the worst thing I could ever gripe about.
Get out your violins, folks.
How do people that work normal 9 to 5s like operate? Because I don't understand it. Because I work a very weird schedule. You know, I'm off at work by 1 or 2, and how do you get stuff done? Because on Memorial Day, everywhere's closed. On weekends, most places are closed as well. If you need to go, like, let's say, buy a car, they have really, like, the same hours as you. Do you take off work to go do these kind of things? Or, like, how do you do this?
You're talking to two people who don't have regular 9 to 5s.
Well, there's 3 of us, so I don't know. More of us.
I'm a terrible shopper because if I need to buy something, it's like catch it as I catch can. I just because not any time.
We call those people with 9 to 5 hours normies.
Yeah, normies.
Yeah, and I think like for a lot of people, I mean, obviously I've employed people who are supposed to work like a 9 to 5, and I think like a lot of people are pretty flexible for things like doctor's appointments, vet appointments, like special. You know, there's been a lot of graduations, like there's all sorts of stuff, and I think for most. You know, there are certain situations where if you need the whole day off, maybe, you know, you need to take a vacation day. But like, you know, a lot of people can kind of work remotely and get the necessary things they need to get done and still put in a mostly full day of work. So I think I have found mid-Missouri employers to be pretty reasonable. And then, you know, John, if you work for the state, you've got 72 vacation days. So they probably just take a vacation day. I love you guys.
So Drake,
72 now, huh?
Drake, are you looking for you shopping for a car?
Yeah. I'm on a lead.
Tough shopping, huh?
Yeah.
You don't have to miss work. You just order it online these days, right? No, do not do that. Don't they keep telling us that like that's a new thing, right?
That is a thing.
Was it Amazon that partnered with somebody and you were going to be able to order a car? Can you imagine?
Well, like Carvana, that same kind of deal.
I cannot imagine even thinking about doing that. That seems crazy.
But whatever you do, make sure you check that Carfax. Our friend Ewan, make sure you got the Carfax before you do that. Check out that Carfax thing. Very important.
Yeah, you know, I only get my food delivered nowadays, so I won't do cars.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. I guess you're going to be door dashing it all weekend.
I have to confirm the car has enough cup holders.
Okay, I do have to say, I am moving into a place in Columbia here soon, next month.
Right.
The problem is that I haven't been able to DoorDash or get deliveries or anything like that because I live out in the boonies. Mm-hmm. I think that might have to change. There's a chance that changes for the worse.
It's like a kid in the sandbox here. You're going to be playing, frolicking here in Columbia. You're going to love it, right?
You know, Drake, for farm kids, you know, DoorDash out in the country is grab a chicken, wring its neck, and see if Grandma will fry it for you.
I don't know about all that, John, but
Drake likes birds.
Yeah, I have heard there are some people in the boonies who do like get their groceries delivered, and like it's not as bad as you'd think.
Yeah,
they have rural grocery delivery.
Uh-huh.
Really, I didn't know that.
I think there's several options in Ashland to get. I mean, I guess we're a little rural, not rural like Salisbury, but it's been expanding quite a bit.
Well, you know, this is a Feel Good Friday, and it's the week. It's the day before a weekend, and I think we can probably feel good about this. This is when you see some justice coming to some stuff that's really been fleecing the taxpayers, like Minneapolis. Sort of good to hear.
Today, we are announcing criminal charges against 15 defendants in Minnesota for fraud schemes that targeted over $90 million in taxpayer dollars. Let me be clear up front about something. This is not the end of our work in Minnesota. This is not the end of the beginning of our work in Minnesota. This is the beginning of our work in Minnesota.
That's the assistant AG, Colin McDonald. Sounds like they're serious, Stephanie. I mean,
Sounds like it.
And when he said this is not the end of the beginning, it's not the end of the end. This is the beginning of our work. We got more to come. Stay tuned, folks. I like that. I like that kind of talk. You think about the the hospice situation and how that's been abused and the fraud going on out in L.A. Now, what they talk 90 million. 90 million. You think, well, what's that when you've got a $5 trillion budget? But still, it just gives you a glimpse into the deep, dark closet that is messy, right? Full of who knows what's in that closet in these government programs that are being abused. And I'm glad that Trump's DOJ is getting after this. I mean, they mean business. And do you think it's just in the healthcare sector where this kind of stuff's going on? I mean, think of
education.
Yeah. Think of all the granting programs that go on and all of the payments, entitlement payments and payments on behalf of beneficiaries that the government makes. I mean, man alive, it's just rife.
Any sort of care, because what we saw with the Leering Center was it was like daycare. This was home health, like elder care type stuff. I think what we know is like people should be looking really closely at anything like that. And
you wonder, okay, so what about agricultural programs? Okay, so I participated in one of these planting of fruit trees, pawpaws, and other trees on my property, right? But they made me provide pictures of the trees planted and made sure that I was compliant. And other programs, I know many of you out there, may participate in CRP and other stuff. So I feel as though it's pretty well scrutinized. I
think the statute of limitations is run. I probably can tell this story on myself. Columbia had something, and they were like, "You can get a free tree." They mailed it out with your utility bill, years and years ago when I lived in an apartment.
Yeah,
I lived in like a 3-story apartment building, and so I said, "Well, I'll take a free tree." I thought I need a gift for my parents for like Mother's Day or Father's Day, thinking that I don't qualify, right? Somebody came out, they drew a picture of the apartment building, drew like a spot where I can plant the tree. Again, I'm one of like 600 people. I'm not allowed to plant a tree on the apartment. It's on my land,
but
right?
They spent resources on this.
And then I got a ticket for a free tree, and it wasn't a sapling. It was like one of those 6 feet. It was huge.
No. Really?
Yeah.
That's like a $100 tree or $50 tree.
Yeah. But I'm like, clearly... I'm not like, all the facts. You came to my apartment building, you drew a picture of it, I live in an apartment building,
Yeah.
I can't plant a tree, but like I guess the tree, I still don't know. I still feel
so this was a big green initiative, right?
Yeah, but how many free trees did they give to people that can't plant trees?
Holy cow. And now they're talking about sales tax increase. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really remember I think it was through the city. I can't remember,
Lord.
but like, I was just like, this is so weird. But if you're giving away free trees to everybody, okay.
On that note, if you did receive a free tree and do live in an apartment building and are not trying to plant it, I am here at the station, so please drop it off. I will take as many trees as you will.
I don't know if they still do it or not. It's
Holy
crazy.
cow.
But it's stuff like that, right? Like, they should have caught the fact that like some people should be excluded, but they just aren't. And yeah, you're right. With the agriculture programs, are they really driving out to make sure? And you said you had to send in pictures.
Yeah.
What if you just like drive over to your neighbors and like take pictures of theirs? I mean, how do you confirm that?
I planted them, and then I noticed.
But how does the government confirm that it's pictures of your land?
Well, I planted
and you're
them.
not like growing marijuana or
No. I
poppies or
planted them, and
whatever
then
they
I
did on
noticed.
Ozark.
After I planted them, I noticed the deer were, because they're tender little saplings. They're only about, they were 5 or 10 gallon. trees.
Yeah. Also, there should have been like an IQ or like green thumb test to plant this tree, because even if I was able to plant the tree, the chances that it survived are about 0.
I don't know.
0.
Interesting. There's a lot of, but you wonder about those programs. Now, our friend Alan, he's like our little conscience. Alan's like our little liberal conscience.
Do not call him our conscience, Randy.
Well, no, he has some good points. He says Randy's happy about the possibility of $90 million worth of fraud. Well, I'm not happy I'm happy they're getting after it. And I think it tells us something about why, if you're going to do something, give someone who needs a service, give them the median value of said service, let them go shop for said service. Don't have a bureaucracy to pay for said service on their behalf. I've never understood it. Frankly, I don't think we should have the welfare, but if you're going to do it, give them a check and let them go shopping. At any rate, and what about that $1.8 billion slush fund? and an extra $1 billion for that ballroom. No big deal. Bah humbug, says Alan. All right, well, it is a Feel Good Friday, and by golly, we're going to feel good no matter what. 573-874-9390. Later on, we're going to feel good about talking to Kiera Johnson. She's a candidate for the 60th District in Jefferson City area and state rep. And Scott Vaughn, we're going to make him apologize for his slander of Ollie Marmol all these days. And talk to him about the session just ended. Daily DC Rundown coming up.
It's Wake Up Missouri. Republicans to get out of this box is to stop backing the slush fund, stop pushing the ballroom, and as soon as we get back, join Democrats in fighting to lower Americans' costs.
A funny thing happened on the way to DHS funding, right, Stephanie? It's time for the Daily DC Rundown.
Yeah, everyone went on vacation. They went home. In fact, I think, weren't we supposed to talk to Congressman Onder today? And he's flying home kind of unexpectedly.
Yeah, they said I got a text from his people that said, they canceled the vote, so he's coming home. He'll be on a plane. Yeah.
All right. So Senate Majority Leader John Thune delayed the major immigration reconciliation bill after backlash over the $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. North Carolina Senate candidate Michael Whatley publicly backed the fund, but other folks called it, Senator Tom Tillis called it a payout pot for punks. So a lot of infighting and tension. One Republican senator warned our majority is melting down before our eyes. The tension was increased when Trump endorsed Attorney General Ken Paxton over incumbent John Cornyn without apparently warning the GOP leadership beforehand. And also some Republicans are not too happy about the taxpayer money to fund the White House ballroom. So we're back to this infighting.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had something going, and then this so-called slush fund in that settlement, right, that Trump had with the IRS, and then also additional taxpayer money for ballroom construction got in the way.
And we are also still infighting about war powers and about war funding. House Republicans pulled a war powers vote yesterday last minute after realizing they may not have enough votes to show support for Trump's war. They also say that several Republicans joined in with Democrats trying to limit the presidential war powers, especially involving Iran. Senate Democrats already advanced a similar measure earlier this week. So now that we didn't do anything this week, we are already eyeing a third reconciliation bill. House Budget Chairman says Republicans are planning to bring one up before the August recess. The focus in the third reconciliation bill would be more Pentagon spending, anti-fraud provisions, housing affordability, and health care affordability. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. Stephen Colbert signed off last night. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. It was the Late Show's end of its 33-year run. It closed out 11 years for Colbert and 1,800 episodes. The final guest was Paul McCartney. And they ended by, I think, singing a song and turning the lights out together.
Violins out. Or Colbert being out.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Also, Trump was expected to sign a new AI executive order. We've been talking a lot this week about AI with the announcement in Missouri that Google is going to invest $15 billion in a new data center. But he postponed that executive order last minute. He said he didn't like certain aspects of it. The order would have put new AI models through like a government agency review before public release. There have been certainly some cybersecurity concerns around AI, but there are apparently internal disagreements in the administration that have brought it to a halt, at least for now.
Now, there's this thing called, thank you for the Daily DC Rundown, Stephanie, there's this thing called disclosure. Discovery in the law, right?
Correct.
Well, I brought my Wednesday Wall Street Journal for you to peruse the headlines before we discuss a little bit more about AI. The AI rebellion. When we come back on Wake Up Missouri.
advantage of another technological transformation. I know what many of you are feeling about that. I can hear you. There is a fear. The question is not whether AI will shape the world. It will. The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know the precise contours of what this transformation will look like. Today,
Well, that's former Google CEO Eric Schmidt at a commencement address. Now, at University of Arizona, this has been repeated throughout this graduation season. When AI comes up, no, that's Eric Schmidt, and people are getting booed when they mention AI and technology, and college graduates
From the same people who
are booing.
pay $28 a day for DoorDash or whatever.
And aren't they using it 95% of the time to write their papers?
I was about
Feel
to say,
free to
it's
boo me.
Arizona. The University of Arizona? That's your example?
Well, no, this is just one example. It's all over the place.
I've never heard of anyone booing except from Arizona, and they are the dumbest people I've ever met. Holy crap. The only people that might be dumber than graduates of Arizona is graduates of Arizona State. That is the only comparison.
What about Kansas?
Here's another one.
They're just mean and dirty.
Now, that said, we are living in a time of profound change. That's an understatement, right? Profound change. Change is exciting, very exciting, and let's face it, change can be daunting. The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution.
She gets booed. So, okay, then I look at Wednesday's Wall Street Journal. Top of the fold, Americans' AI rebellion grows, fed by energy costs, job losses. Down in Festus, did you see this? In Festus, Missouri, south of St. Louis, I saw that reporting that, where was that? 4 city council members were voted out after they approved a data center for that area. We were just talking yesterday about a data center in Montgomery County in
New Florence.
New Florence, right? So, voters in Festus ousted 4 city council members a week after they approved a $6 billion data center. Dozens of communities are trying to ban new data centers, so it looks like New Florence is going against the grain. Now, Stephanie says our energy costs are going to go lower, but you can talk about that, and that may be true, but I think people are worried about their jobs and what it's going to mean. But I find it counterintuitive that anytime you Google anything now, don't you get auto AI essentially? So we're all using it, but yet people are afraid of it, right?
I think it's interesting, too, that some of these college kids are getting upset at graduation, booing the speakers. Most of the major colleges now that have computer science programs are offering degrees in AI.
Yeah.
So the kid sitting next to you while you're booing may have an AI degree.
A recent poll showed that 30% of Democrats think America should accelerate AI innovation as quickly as possible. About half of Republicans, 77% of tech bros, tech founders. Nancy Mace proposed a 1-year moratorium on new data centers in South Carolina. She's running for governor there. I don't have a fear of AI. I just am observing it's going to be a big, big change for a lot of people in a lot of ways. Parents are worried about it dumbing down their kids. Stephanie's looking at me like, Mom, like hands folded. You got to catch this on YouTube. She's like, now, Randy, go ahead, Stephanie. You have the floor.
I'm not afraid of it. Like I think like if you're stupid or lazy, then maybe you should be afraid of it. But like if you're willing to adopt new technology and embrace it and learn how to use it, I think you're going to be way heads and above over others. I think you have to have I am confident enough in my abilities that I don't think a robot's going to take my job. I think it's going to change the way that we do work. But you have to, I think you have to have some confidence that like you bring something to the table that a computer cannot. and I am confident in that. And with respect to, I can redo all day long the data about prices.
Yeah.
This person on Twitter has a study out, a peer-reviewed study in the Electricity Journal from Berkeley Lab in 2025. 32 out of 50 states saw real residential rates fall from 2019 to 2024. The states with the most data centers led the drop.
Yeah. We saw that yesterday in California and Texas, where they have a ton of them. Rates had only gone up like 3% year over year, which you could say is, okay, that's inflation. But it was higher, according to CNBC, in the northeastern states, Virginia and others. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. But here's the thing.
AI cannot go to a cocktail hour and network. AI is not I guess it can kind of write jokes, but it can't deliver a powerful message. You did play that one speech, and he said, I tried to have AI write my speech, and it was dry, and it wasn't me, and whatever, right? It can't start a movement. It can't inspire others. It can't. Are preachers using it to write sermons yet? I was just thinking about that.
I imagine they are, don't you think?
I mean, I just, there's a human touch to things that I think is really special.
If a preacher is using AI to write his sermon and doesn't admit it, is it a sin? Ooh.
That's
look at the healthcare field. Randy, you've pointed to the healthcare field so much with AI, and it's already making a dent. I mean, if you go to major, medical centers or medical groups, I mean, they're starting in on the whole documentation side and billing and all that in AI. But is that a bad thing? Maybe it allows the docs and staff to spend literally more face time with patients and get their nose out of a computer or a laptop.
Well, and it was
something.
even diagnosing better, as good or better initial diagnoses than doctors in kind of emergency, urgent, urgent care issues. I think, John, you talk about speeding up the workload. I think early on, this has been several months ago, I think it might have been in Arizona, Fox was covering how I think it was a police department that had implemented AI for writing incident reports. And they were saying it can watch the body cam footage and listen to the interaction. And it basically knows the date and the time and the location and all that. And it was basically writing the first draft of these incident reports. And what the officers were saying is this is saving me a ton of time. So again, John, can the doctors spend more face time with the patients? Can we have our officers spending more time out on the road and less time writing up reports? I mean, I think these things they benefit us.
Randy, would this be something too? And I could see it moving that way, where you can instantly pull up a patient's history and be, right on it without having to read it. And all you'd have AI kind of spouting some of it back to you with a line of questions.
Get a little summary, yeah.
That is absolutely my least favorite thing about going to the doctor, because even when you go to the same doctor, some of the same places, they're and maybe your practice is different, Randy, but they're fill out this long healthcare questionnaire. And then they're when was the last time, how many babies have you had? When's the last time you had a baby? When was your last pap smear? I'm you have all of this. Why, you did it all. It's all, it's all in your system.
Thank you, Barack Obama, and the high-tech act that mandated the electronic medical record.
Why are you asking me 72 questions where literally you billed me for all of it and performed all of it? So, if any,
It's because when you come in for a bladder infection, in order to get paid, the doctor has to create a document that's 10 pages long that goes over your great-grandma's history of, congestive heart failure. And it's ridiculous. And if it doesn't have all the elements that check all the boxes, you don't get paid. So you get these endless rolling charts, and it's hard to pick out the important stuff of your history. Now, there's some techniques to get around it. But anyway, I digress.
Other than winning the parent lottery and having really freaking cool parents, that's my second favorite thing about being adopted, because when they say medical history, I just write adopted and I skip all of the questions.
You know what I like? I don't have to ask questions about, do you have guns at home? Do you feel safe? I mean, if you don't have a relationship with your patient to figure out if they feel unsafe, and you don't have that kind of a relationship that they can talk with you about social things.
And then they ask you the silliest questions, do you have depression or mental illness? Like it's like that's like asking someone, "Are you a serial killer?" Like if you have a serious mental illness, you're probably not going to know it or admit it, right? Like, are you an alcoholic? I mean, most
Actually,
people.
that's untrue.
You think people?
I
think people lie.
Nope. Now,
You think everyone who says I have one
Nope.
glass of wine
You're
with
wrong.
dinner is telling the truth?
I thought
Good luck.
practicing in treadmill medicine for too many years, guilty as charged. Too many of you out there practicing medicine. There's a better way. You don't have to be a treadmill doctor. The visits are so short. You got 3,000 patients. You don't have a relationship with them. They don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. You got a relationship with someone, they'll talk with you about things that are very important, which it's a discussion. It's like, oh, Stephanie, I noticed you got your liver enzymes are a little up. Well, there's a lot of things about that. It can be toxins, it can be a genetic, it can be alcohol. So how you drinking? Oh,
I think we agree in this point. Yeah. Those types of conversations are super helpful. I think these weird questionnaires asking you all these questions where most people probably lie.
Yeah.
How many overweight people have you seen come in and they're like, I'm eating on a calorie deficit. They're not counting out what were you counting? 16 dot pretzels?
No, 16.
They're not doing that.
Right. So, but the point is, but you're right. And AI can't replace that. AI can't replace a relationship. AI can't replace the counseling that you give when you sit across the desk from a client and talk about the nuances of their life and their case and this and that, right?
Yeah,
I don't think AI is going to fix that.
Yeah, think about the role of like the judge and the jury. They're trying to decide, is the witness on the stand telling the truth? I mean, obviously we have lie detectors, whatever. But like they can't, there's this human element that I don't think the robots will ever touch.
I do like the female AI voice they have. It has a little English brogue. I sort of like that. When you can pick the voice you like.
Oh, my God. That sounds too much like an AI girlfriend.
Yes, I'd like to tell you about this. No, it sounds very technical. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. How you doing? Welcome in. Debbie, are you there? Yo, Debbie. Debbie? Oh, I guess we lost her. Debbie was going to talk about preachers with AI. I don't know what happened. But
AI intervened.
Yeah, I think AI didn't want to get dissed. So in this article by CNBC, they said the downturn has hit hardest the workers with little world experience. This is for real world experience. This is for entry-level workers. And marketing, legal, accounting, human resources, and IT are the most vulnerable.
Well, think about manufacturing, right? And how we used to have all the people on the line, and now robots do it all, and you've got one person. I mean, no one wants to show up to work every day and do data entry into an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. The types of jobs it's going to take are the ones no one wants to do, and hopefully they will train themselves and get a job that they actually enjoy.
The truth from Stephanie Bill. I don't disagree with you. Hey, there's some new and surprising truth about coffee and blood pressure, at least according to one study. We'll talk about that when we come back on Make Missouri Healthy Again.
It's Wake Up
doesn't like their cup of joe in the morning? You like your cup of joe in the morning?
Can't live without it.
Yeah. Well, researchers are finding that coffee can give your blood pressure a temporary jolt, but over the long term, and that's because it can tighten the blood vessels, the caffeine a little bit, especially if you don't drink it regularly. But if you're a regular coffee drinker, that may be moderated a little bit. But they looked at they amalgamated a bunch of large studies involving hundreds of thousands of people, and they didn't find any strong evidence that now moderate coffee drinking increases the risk of developing hypertension. So it's a little bit nuanced in the way they do this. Do you know how many kilos of coffee? An average of 2 kilos per person each year of coffee. That's a lot of coffee. Holy cow. But this was
4.5 pounds.
Yeah. That's a lot of
rookie
coffee.
numbers. Those are rookie
Yeah.
numbers.
That's me.
But what was interesting was that while it can affect it a little bit, and your levels will peak, caffeine levels peak about, half an hour to a couple hours after you drink a cup of coffee. And it lives for about 4 or 5 hours in your body.
I've heard this about naps. That was a big thing on Twitter. They said you should basically slam a cup of coffee and then take a nap right then for like 20 minutes, and you wake up and that caffeine hits and you're ready to go.
So the same reason that coffee can bump your blood pressure a little bit, it can also be involved with arrhythmias. You know, I think we've reported before on how too many of these caffeine drinks, which, you know, it's sort of the equivalent of coffee on steroids when you drink some of these puppies. What are you drinking there, Steph? No.
An energy drink, a Celsius.
That a lot of young men were reporting to emergency departments in increasing numbers when these things became popular, because they're slamming, you know, a couple Red Bulls and then some coffee, and so you get enough caffeine and you can induce arrhythmias. And I guess the Apple Watch will tell you about that if you have one of those on, right? But in terms of causing hypertension, you know, I think a lot of folks may be under the misconception that it's going to cause hypertension if you drink coffee. Probably not. Should you drink coffee if you have hypertension? My advice would be talk with your doc, see the control level of your hypertension. If you're in really good control and you have a cup of coffee, and I always recommend if you have hypertension or if you have elevated blood pressures now and then, but it's not really been diagnosed and you're not being treated for it, you know, see how you respond. Drink a cup of coffee and, you know, under different circumstances, on the weekend, in the evening, at home, in the morning, at work, and take your blood pressure. Just use one of those automated cuffs. They're actually pretty accurate. And when you take your blood pressure, by the way, you should be seated quietly for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, at least 3 minutes. Some studies 3, some 5. But right away, if you sit down and you check your blood pressure, it's generally going to be a little high, you know, so higher than it will be. So in research studies that link hypertension to cardiovascular disease, they really do it under controlled conditions. So don't get freaked out if your blood pressure right away is, you know, whatever. You know, sit down, relax, and under those circumstances, check it. And you may find that if you're a regular, moderate coffee drinker, that it really doesn't bump your blood pressure, whether you're under treatment or not. So I would just moderate it. Probably, I would say try to keep to less than 4 cups a day. A cup is not a magnum, right? Unfortunately.
How many cups is in the one you got there?
I don't know. What do you think? Maybe 2 or 3? I don't know. Anyway, there's so much good in coffee. We need to talk about that someday, too. Back with Kiara Johnson in a minute.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
Fraud is exactly what happens when you've got a government that is not fighting for the American people.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
This is by far the most difficult moment I've had as an elected official.
The Zimmer News Team.
I've been hearing about Cuba since I'm a little boy. They've been saying, what's going on with Cuba?
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, as everyone's heading into the shortened, probably, day of work before Memorial Day, some people work longer because the holiday's there and it's quiet at the office. You can catch up on stuff. But working to get the vote of constituents in District 60 in Jefferson City area is Kiera Johnson. She's one of 3 Republican candidates for the seat currently held by Dave Griffith. She gave a really inspirational and very compelling speech at the Boone County Lincoln Days, and just passed about a month ago or so. So we wanted to bring her to the air and introduce you to her, and Kiera joins us now. Welcome to Wake Up Missouri, Kiera. Are you there? Are you there? Let's try it. Welcome in.
Hi,
hey,
how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So tell us a little bit about Kiera Johnson. You gave a really compelling speech. A lot of folks I know were talking with you and around you, and at the event. I think I think you have you been involved in politics before, or is this your first run?
Oh no, I've been in politics pretty much since I was about 18 years old, and here I am at 36 years old, putting my foot in the race.
Why are you running?
Well, first off, I'll just say this. I was born into a low-income community. I lost my parents at a really young age to a homicide-suicide where both my younger brother and I witnessed the demise of our parents. And growing up in a underserved community and having family members that were actually very much educated, I didn't understand why these different vices existed in our community. And it led me on a quest to why, which is why I started working in government on every single branch. That would include the executive, judicial, and finally the legislature. And after working over a decade in public service, I wanted to make sure that I would be able to push myself into a position where I can show everybody the transparency in government and how it could help us.
So boy, that's quite a tragic story in your life. I know you.
Yes.
When you started your discussion the other day at the Boone County Lincoln Days, it was really interesting. I think you started out very early. Maybe it was one of your first lines was like, "You may look at me and see that I'm black, but don't assume I'm a Democrat." I mean, that was my paraphrase of it. But why don't you expand a little bit on that for folks who don't know you?
I always say when you look at history, a lot of the times since the Lyndon B. Johnson era, when he created sort of a dependency on social programs, you see a switch from the African Americans who voted in the Republican Party to now voting in the Democratic Party, hoping that there would be some type of community lifting so that they would be able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, right? But if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, well, you would think that things would change. For a long time, African Americans have voted in favor of the Democratic Party with no change at all. So we should question our leadership, like those like Bill Clinton of our time, Barack Obama, all of those which have pushed forward the idea of hope with no change. And so when I say that being black doesn't make you Democrat, that means that we should be thinking outside of the box of our race and thinking about a party that really supports our people.
We're talking with Kiera Johnson. She's a Republican candidate running in the primary coming up here this summer for the 60th District State Rep seat held by Dave Griffith now in the Jefferson City area. She joins us on Wake Up Missouri.
Kiera, you're right there in the trenches at the state capitol. Give us your take on the just completed session, the good things that happened and things that you wish would have gotten further along.
I honestly think that we were able to push a lot of good things forward. We had a lot of great bills that were pushed, including the Heartbeat bill, which I think was a really great bill, or the Born Alive bill, which was great. And I think that some of the bills, like the cursive writing bill, was a really awesome bill. But I think Senator Bernstetter had a really great bill that focused on Department of Social Health and Senior Services, where we would focus on health and things like that when it came to senior citizens. And I think Representative Dave Griffith had a phenomenal bill that focused on our veterans who are 100% disabled that could receive 100% property tax exemptions. We have seen that bill come up about 8 times, and we still have not seen it come into fruition yet.
So we've talked to Representative Griffith a lot, and his kind of lane, he was really focused on veterans programs. What is, I think as folks decide they're going to run and, look to the future, what's going to be your lane? Like, what's your top priority as you head into this endeavor?
Well, absolutely. As I told you all, I lost my parents at a very young age, and mental health plays a critical role in how we go about our everyday lives. I always say that there's no certificate on completion when it comes to trauma. It's an everyday battle. And so one of the big focuses that I want to do is work on non-clinical mental health practices. I've already assisted in that legislation that was filed this past session, and I want to be able to continue to push the narrative. I don't think we see enough legislation that focuses on mental health. When we put mental health to the side, we can get a criminal act either against someone else or themselves, and it hurts our communities.
Kiara, when we look at some of the things, just yesterday, a woman in Minnesota was sentenced to, I think, 40 years, a long sentence for fraud involving the whole the fraud with the Medicaid abuse up there, and then we hear about the hospice abuse with government programs in L.A. How do you feel about the importance of government's role, A, in having those programs available, and B, scrutinizing them and making sure the taxpayer money is being spent efficiently and properly and fraud is minimized to as close to zero as possible?
I also think that question comes around the idea of hiring in a better fashion. So I actually work for the Missouri Health Net Department of Social Services, and I know that for many of the employees there, they work extremely hard. However, if you don't have enough employees and those that are actually qualified in those positions, you will have issues like that fall through the crack because you don't have enough people to be able to focus on what things are fraud while they're trying to build up a system that is efficient for everybody to work in it effectively.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like that could grow government, though. That sounds like bigger bureaucracy. That doesn't really sound like a Republican, small R, Republican limited government kind of a notion.
I won't say that. I think that this kind of goes back to hiring those that are qualified, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want to just put people in positions just because they applied for a position, right? And so I think that we're not really expanding government as much as we're putting people in offices that are going to be vigilant to the issues that we don't want to see in our community.
So not more, but better. Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this ahead of Memorial Day? We talked with a guest yesterday who served in special forces for years, and we talked about the meaning of Memorial Day. And while we all are going to probably have our barbecues and stuff, how do you feel about the solemnity of this day and the importance of this country's history to you with your history and being a minority and the mistakes made along the way in our history that have been rectified now? What are your thoughts about Memorial Day and the people who have sacrificed for it?
Well, the first thing is I come from a family of veterans. Actually, my father was a veteran. He was in the Navy, and our veterans play an essential role. But for those that lost their lives in combat, we owe them a great responsibility to respect the work that they've done for us. When we sit at home comfortably, we watch our television, and we don't recognize those that have stood on the front lines for us, where we did not stand, where we did not opt in to stand. We have to show them a lot more respect. And sometimes I think that gets lost between the potato salad and the hamburgers on the table. And while that's exciting, I think when we look at our current society, I say we are not the same America that we were 400 years ago. And I will be honest, we have had an African-American vice president, an African-American president. We have had Ben Carson, who's been in office. office, a long time ago, that was not the case. And we consistently see a progress in government in our local communities. And I think that we have to be able to think about our past and how far we've come along. And we cannot sing the same songs that we believe are songs that don't fit the current narrative.
So now I have to ask you one other thing. On your Facebook page, and folks, if you want to know more about Kyera, it's spelled Kyera Johnson. You describe yourself as a Republican candidate, and you also, I think somewhere when I searched under you, it said digital creator. So do you see yourself maybe creating some Spencer Pratt type of reels, really getting involved with those viral campaign videos?
You said Spencer?
On Facebook.
Oh,
Spencer Pratt out of Los Angeles. He's been coming up with some pretty good videos, yeah.
You know what? Right now, this is a grassroots campaign, and I am doing everything in my realm to be able to push to voters to help them understand that they will be making the right choice when it comes to the August 4th ballot. We get a lot of people that want to run for titles and different things like that. We need to know that we have genuine people that are sitting in these offices that they've elected, and people that are just everyday people that go through the same problems that they go through. And a lot of the times you'll see the posts that I make. These are relatable posts. They aren't just posts that I put on just for the sake of controversy. They're there for you.
All right. Well, Kyera, we want to thank you for entering into public service. I know you're already doing some of that, in your job, but then at a different level in the legislature, should you be the victor in that primary race. And so we'll continue to keep a close eye on that. Thank you for joining us on Wake Up Missouri. Hope your Memorial Day weekend is meaningful.
Absolutely. Thank you, and God bless Missouri, and God bless America.
There she is, Kyera Johnson. Interesting, really an interesting story. She communicates very, very well, and really it was an inspirational talk she gave. So I want everyone to hear that.
And keep an eye out for her. Every event I think I've been to in Cole County and Boone here recently, I've seen her at, so it'd be a good opportunity for folks as you're out and about this summer to meet her and greet her in person.
Get to know her, yeah. We'll be back with more on Wake Up Missouri. If you'd like to share your thoughts about Memorial Day, perhaps pay tribute to someone in your family who has made that ultimate sacrifice, we would really treasure that today on this program. 573-874-9390 on the text. Better yet, give us a call, 800-529-5572. More straight ahead on Wake Up.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
I wanted to pay a tribute here to a guy named Bob Woodson. You may have seen Bob Woodson. He was on the Fox News Network a lot, and a few years ago for quite a while. He was on frequently. He ran the Woodson Center, and he often would be an African American who would counteract the narrative of the race baiters. And what a distinguished man he was. I had the pleasure of interviewing him previously in another life. And I have to tell you, the guy is really impressive. Here's just a little bit of what Bob Woodson had to say on one occasion when a friend asked him about white privilege.
We hear this all day, every day. A bunch of middle-class blacks from our universities are leading demonstrations and saying that the problems that we're facing is primarily caused by white people. Stop. That is not our problem.
And that, I think, sort of summarizes a lot of the narrative that he tried to debunk. He died yesterday at the age of 89. And I think it's these kind of voices, the Walter Williams of the world, the Thomas Sowells of the world, that really help, I think, calibrate much, much better where a lot of the problems don't lie on the one hand and where they do lie on the other hand in our black community. It troubles me when I see people struggling with so much difficulty within their own community and so much. Well, we see it here in Columbia a lot. Stephanie, with black on black crime. I mean, it's sort of a microcosm of what we see nationally. And he talked a little bit more about that.
Important to recognize that the destiny of black people is not determined by what white people do or do not do. It is in our own hands. White people are not in our communities mugging one another. White people are not in our community. It is our values that determine our condition in life, not what some oppressor has done. For instance.
So I think that advice would be, we'd all be well served by that advice, right? It's show me your parents, show me your culture, and I'll show you your future, with a few exceptions. And with the erosion of the black family, we've seen just tragedy within these communities in urban centers and not so urban centers. And this guy was a guy I really followed a lot. And so it breaks my heart that he's gone. But man, if you get a chance to watch any YouTubes on Robert Woodson, Bob Woodson, do that. Take the opportunity to do that. Share it with your influenceable friends, maybe on the left, who want to play the old narrative of it's someone else's fault, the victim mentality, white privilege.
May talk about guys like him and Tim Scott and Kiara just mentioned Ben Carson and heck, Clarence Thomas and all. And these guys, to a man, no matter what they say, and they have some very good conservative opinions that come from, they're all very educated. Yeah. Well, I know I think he was, he came up by his bootstrap. What I'm getting at, they all get labeled Uncle Toms.
That's right. Yeah. Discarded by the very community that they care so deeply about. And if maybe people would listen and heed some of their wisdom, would it be a different country? Would we be as polarized? Would there have been riots in the streets, a few years ago? I don't know. Bob Woodson, dead at age 89. Rest in peace, brother. Good man. We'll be back with more Wake Up Missouri and ask the question about, are you worried other people's kids are getting special testing opportunities? Oh, yeah, it's happening. Missouri, on this day before Memorial Day, hope that you're planning a nice and safe, and well, I guess we can't make it anything but fairly expensive if you're driving trip, but hope that works out good for you. Brian Hauswirth joins us now. John and Brian joined Stephanie and me as we really took in the Jefferson City Police Foundation dinner last night. It was really an amazing event. It was great. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I said we were going to talk a little bit about special accommodations for students and how it's gone crazy. I mean, if a student has irritable bowel syndrome, they get extra time on a test now. It's getting ridiculous. I mean, I don't know. There are reasons for accommodations, but it's creating a fluff. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but it's more important that we talk about. We were very, very pleased to see and meet and talk with Chief Wilde. We sat at Hal Dooley's table. Hal is the president of that foundation, and boy, they've done a lot of great work, including, Brian, you were the MC last night. Nice job.
Thank you, sir.
Nice job. That AI MC script you had was wonderful. It's really well done.
Yeah. I was cautioned by the chief not to shoot spit walls at Brian.
The chief is up there introducing Brian. He says, we were hesitant to have John facing the podium because he might throw spitballs at Brian, and he has got a great sense of humor. But
all good.
But the first guest of the evening was the dog Riggs.
Yes.
Tell us about Riggs.
Well, Riggs, named after, as you might imagine, the character in Lethal Weapon.
Riggs and
Murtaugh, and Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. And the dog had a big smile on his face. I mean,
that dog was alert. Oh, my God.
It was alert.
Looking around like, whoa, it was cool.
You could
Beautiful
tell.
Dog.
And what they basically said, Randy and Stephanie and John, is that the foundation, they're able to fill the gaps because of tight budget times.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson City is no different than other towns. They're tight on budget, so they're able to get things like the K9 unit. They got some drones as well. But that dog was purchased because their other dog had to retire. Mm-hmm. So that dog was presented by its handler, and then the dog was able to, the people were able to see the dog afterwards as well.
It's really a neat dog. What, Belgian something and a German Shepherd mix.
Yeah.
But I mean, a beautiful, like a brindle
Malinois.
Wow. What was it called? What?
Belgian Malinois.
Man alive. What a
big
beautiful
smile.
Specimen of a dog. Wow.
Big
smile because of the pork chops.
Those pork chops, that was the best banquet food I've ever had, I think. It was awesome, man. Those pork chops were to die for. I probably will have to go to the cath lab after it. It was great.
I got to watch my diabetes, but I will tell you.
Cheesy potatoes. They were
oh, my
great.
God. The food was absolutely spectacular, which is worth a note, and I gave them a shout-out. That's the Capitol Bluff Center.
Great
a lot of people get married there. But to your point, Randy, about the dog, also the drones, they're able to use the drones. So I talked to Chief Wilde, and I'll have sound with him next week, Tuesday, Wednesday. I just wanted to put some good stories together. I did a simple reader today. They think they raised about $20,000 last night.
That's great.
And it'll be used for various things to fill in the blanks. One of the other things they were able to do with last year's money, they not only got the drones, but they had, if you probably saw it yesterday, they had a little, looked like a golf cart. It says Jefferson City Police. And one of them was taking it out on the trail, not playing golf.
Like a mule with enclosed hard shell. Yeah.
And because of all the hills on the trails that are going on, and we've had drug activity unfortunately on one of those trails. I won't mention it in Jefferson City, but John knows where it is. Drug activity, they've had arrests. Also downtown, that vehicle can help them as well. So lots of things. And the stories last night were just amazing. Man. They were amazing.
It just makes you puff your chest out to be around. We sat at the table of Andy Leonard. Yeah. I'd been with the force for a long time, heard his story, met his beautiful wife. And it just to see, most of the awardees, I think all, were sitting in the upper level.
They were.
And I noticed when they, like Officer Phelps and others, when they came down, you would say, Officer Phelps, post.
Yes.
And I mean, they come bounding down. I'm like, man.
After some,
it was awesome.
After some pretty significant injuries. I mean, some of these folks, I mean, we heard stories about how they, people, I mean, they were dealing with people who were under distress, who were violent, who were on drugs.
Surprisingly, sometimes.
Tackled some people into some metal chairs. One guy, the railing gave way and he fell on the crown of his head. I mean,
yes.
I mean, this
had to have 2 discs removed.
Yes.
And metal plates put in.
I mean, hearing the stories of our hometown heroes was really inspirational.
And interesting details you didn't know about when you reported, and John didn't know about.
No, and
Brian and I said immediately afterwards to each other, "Wow, I didn't know that."
Yeah, and I love to go into detail, and that's why I stopped and I paused paused when I introduced several of those guys, and women too. I said, you're going to hear stuff that you haven't heard before because they weren't in the court document. And Chief Wilde told me afterwards those details are important because he said he went 20 years. I believe he told me 20 years last night there was no officer-involved shooting. And I think we didn't know also that those 2 officers had been ambushed in their own car. I mean, it was amazing. And to Stephanie's point about the officer that landed on his head, I believe that was Officer Phelps.
Yes.
And then Officer Church as well. That was someone who was clearly injured and then clearly injured, banged up, and then needed weeks of rehabilitation, was able to tackle that suspect on those chairs and landed on the chairs and the tables in front of Madison's. You know, that didn't feel good. One of the I think it was several officers went in to go after, I guess it was serve a drug warrant or something, and then the guy flees into the interior of the home. He's reaching in for a drawer where there's a gun, and it reaches for his hand. And I mean, these are stories like
and saving people from burning buildings and burning cars. I mean,
that was a guy that was an officer who had gotten off of work and was going to go home, and he stopped and helped him.
And of course, my other favorite were the videos that they showed at the beginning. They had those Nichols students, and man,
they've got the high school team that put those together.
Yes, and they are recruiting videos. If you haven't, I assume they're posted to their Facebook page. You should go check them out because they're worth a watch.
One of them. What was the song with the move to the left, move to the right? What's
the
that?
Cha-Cha Slide.
The Cha-Cha. And so they've got the lights on top of the cruiser that are synced with the song.
John
Great job
was really
by those
getting
kids.
down to one of the songs. John, what was the one that you were really jamming out to?
Inner Sandman by Metallica.
And Chief Wilde was very thankful that that came at no cost to the department.
Well, exactly, and he emphasized that.
And he did. And he also thanked the officers when they're down, what, about Baker's dozen
13,
right now?
13. I'll have a story on that Tuesday.
Of these 2 injured, there were 2 officers that were injured significantly enough. They had to have shoulder and then neck surgery, separate officers. And they came back within a short while for that kind of surgery. I know a little bit about that. I mean, I don't know the details of it, but they came back. And that's service to your colleagues in the department. It's service to your leader. It's service to the community.
There's no doubt about it. And you know, we're talking the one officer that the first one was Officer Paul Gash, and he came down and he was still in a sling.
Yes, he had the sling on.
And and that's when and then Phelps was honored twice, Medal of Honor, Officer Phelps, Jared Phelps, and a Purple Heart. And that's when Wilde, the chief, went off script. And I love when he goes off script and said, these guys got ambushed by that suspect, and we had no idea.
He's been watching too much Trump going off script there.
That is awesome.
He does a great job, though. I mean, you can tell there's a real camaraderie there. That I mean, I know there's this magic brotherhood among officers and among law enforcement people, and you feel it when you're around them.
No doubt about it. I know you need to move on, but I just want to mention there's just a couple names, but I just want to mention for people. Only take me a second. Medal of Honor Officer Jared Phelps, Sergeant Collier Nichols, Officer Saden Stone, Officer Gash, Officer Jason Cedarwall, Officer Jeremy Church, Purple Heart Officer Phelps, Officer Ronald Smith, who was also injured.
Yes.
And the Medal of Valor, that's the one you were talking about, the guy that reached, the suspect reached under a closet and fired at the police. Officer Dawson Payne, former Officer Jerry Scotty Smith, Officer Dakota Brewer. And I'll have several stories next week on that. But you guys did a great job. I really appreciate you guys for being there. It was a good turnout. And Father Jones, Father Stephen Jones, he was talking about how he got a parking ticket in Hawaii.
And he scolded the audience
in front of the diocese, no less.
Then he scolded the audience because he was doing the St. Andrew prayer, and he got a little mix. And he says,
St. Michael
prayer, St. Michael, and he was like, "Yeah, I wish you guys would pray along with me. I say this all the time." And I got
exactly. Well, I was trying to pray with him, but he was going a little fast, so all good. Yeah, you guys have a great.
Very, very good.
I'll see you in about an hour for winners.
Good job, Brian.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good job.
Brian. Thank you, guys.
It was really fun. We were talking with Hal and his wife, and we met Chief Wilde's wife, and it was just great to rub shoulders with the great people there in Jefferson City and all of the fabulous people supporting that group of people. So we commend those officers that got the awards and those who didn't, because their time will come too.
And like you said, you're looking for a career change. They've got 13 openings at JCPD, and they would love to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I think they recognized several folks for 20 years of service, and I
Yes.
think that speaks to the quality of the
Yep.
institution there. That folks, are so loyal to the department and would stick around for that. I mean, it sounds like it's a really fine place to work.
And there was another thing I talked to when we were talking with a couple of the officers. I talked with Officer Leonard. I said, "Boy, I just feel sorry that you guys are so disrespected. You pull someone over, people start giving you lip. It's become normal to just disrespect policing and officers." And he says, "This community is pretty unique. Yeah, there's the occasional, but he says, yeah, this is a unique community. They really respect people. The officer, they're courteous." He says, "I can't tell you how many times I order something at the fast food joint, and I don't know who paid for it, but it's paid for." And I know that happens in a lot of the communities. It happens in Columbia. It happens in Springfield. So, but it was great to hear that up close and personal testimony from an officer there in Jefferson City. John, what's coming up when we come back on your segment?
Don't turn away in fear. One man can make a difference, and you are going to be that man.
All right, guys, listen up. Words of admonition from John Marsh when we come back.
It's Wake Up
Where's the Hoff when we really need him? How does a car from a 1980s action-adventure TV show end up with a speeding ticket in Chicago in 2026? That's what folks at the Volo Museum, home to a replica of Kit, the car from Knight Rider, starring David Hasselhoff, would like to know. They recently got a $50 speeding ticket for a car matching Kit's description, going 36 in his 25 zone in Brooklyn. The black Trans Am even had the California license plate Knight, the same as Kit, and the museum's replica, which is unregistered. The marketing director for the museum says the fact we're legally tied to a movie prop is interesting. We're known for having our Hollywood cars from TV and movies, but I have no idea. Now we got a ticket in New York, registered to the place in California, to the museum in Illinois. He says 5 original Kits remain out of the 20 built for the show. Museum officials challenging the ticket and posted online, does anyone have David Hasselhoff's private number? He owes us $50.
So is one of those electronic readers a photo arrest kind of a deal?
Kind of sounds like it, doesn't it? A flock camera.
Right, so they just...
Kit.
Yeah.
Usually Kit on the show was going like 200.
They go by registration, not by who's sitting in the driver's seat, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Never understood that. That's no longer law in Missouri, right? That got squashed, I think. Never forget that. My son, I don't know whether he tried to make a yellow turn it into a red or something up in Hannibal. And next thing you know, I'm getting a ticket. I'm like, I wasn't driving the car. Oh, it's registered to you, Pop. I'm like, whoa. Something fundamentally wrong with that, right? I think that's called vicarious accountability.
Yeah, we heard the flock cameras were used over the weekend when the truck was spotted, presumably dumping that dumpster and a body into Perchy Creek. So
yeah, that person...
They have their role.
Yeah, and that's been identified as a 40-something-year-old woman, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, and they're not naming names.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, well, let's see. Evan's calling. He's got a story about, we were talking about Riggs, the police dog. Evan joins us on Wake Up Missouri. Happy almost to be Memorial Day weekend, Evan. What's up?
Morning. You were talking about the Belgian Malinois as a mix, but we had at work a lady that brought in 2. She had a puppy and an adult Belgian Malinois. With the training, the adult was worth $50,000.
Whoa.
She would train them up for canine handlers that had lost their partners, and she can train them to even get the laundry out of the washing machine. It's pretty cool.
Smart dogs, huh?
Oh yeah, they're intelligent.
The thing I was struck, this dog had such beautiful, majestic, just bold posture, and man, was he looking around surveying the room, John? I mean, I think he was looking for who was carrying and who had, I don't know.
I take you back to the comments earlier about the pork chops, Yeah,
maybe that's what it was. No, but I mean, he was just on high alert. It was really, really cunningly, eerily alerted for that dog. It was neat. How do you spell that, Evan? How do you spell that type of dog?
I believe it's Malinois.
Malinois.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Hey, well, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Okay, well, now things are making sense now. When we were checking in at Reagan to come back from D.C. when we went out for Sean's graduation, there were a couple of Army guys with a dog, and it was the Belgian, pronounce it again, John?
A Malinois.
Malinois.
Kind of like a German Shepherd.
Yeah, looks sort of shepherdy, but a little more pointy nose. And
a little smaller.
Yeah, a little leaner. Not a little more, but... And it was funny, the dog was muzzled. And I think it was Tom or one of our party asked, tell us about him. Oh, he's in the Army. That's what they said. He's in the Army. What does an Army dog do? I don't know.
Same thing as, depends what they're trained for, whether they're drug dogs or bomb dogs or, a police dog.
By the way, we saw the presence of the National Guard in person for the first time, and it was interesting. It's a lot different when you see them when they're hanging out, various places around the metro and stuff. And I know you've seen it before, Stephanie, but it was good to see them. I made sure, and I'm sure as you do, thank them for being there. But we were in a couple, as we were trying to find our way from the hotel to the campus, we ended up in some, let's just say, some interesting places where you had situational awareness as a traveler. And I felt much less concerned because I saw National Guardsmen around. And it was nice to see. So it was good. Well, thanks for all those who serve and who have served. Thanks for those who have sacrificed and those who are related to them. So we're going to come back and talk with Scott Vaughn because, Scott likes to diss Ollie Mormel a lot, but the Cardinals are holding their own. We're going to challenge him on that and see if he's still got an axe to grind here against Ollie, and talk to him about his thoughts on the general session just completed. Scott Vaughn coming up on Wake Up in just a few.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
Fraud is exactly what happens when you've got a government that is not fighting for the American people.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
This is by far the most difficult moment I've had as an elected official.
The Zimmer News Team.
I've been hearing about Cuba since I'm a little boy. They've been saying, what's going on with Cuba?
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
It feels very different. It's not close. You can feel the support of the fan base coming back. Even today, we played 12-15 game. It's a Thursday, and the place was buzzing, and the people showed up, and you feel that. But compared to other, it's not close. We weren't able to perform to the degree that we would have liked today to reward everybody for coming out. But it's a completely different feeling taking the field over the last several weeks compared to what we've been doing. So.
Well, there's Ollie Marmol. We now introduce you again to our friend Scott Fawn, who, of course, is the owner and president of Fawn Media and publishes Missouri Times and the News Tribune, other local papers, and hosts This Week in Missouri Politics. But his premier job is the president of the Ollie Marmol fan club. So welcome in, Scott.
Being in the media isn't unpopular enough. You want to saddle me with that?
What are your thoughts about are you going to be taking your shirt off the next time you go to the Cards game and join the Tarps Off Guy Club?
I always take my shirt off when I go to the game. I paint my chest red, so that's just normal. Hey, I got to say, I mean, look, I'm a statistics dude. I'm a scoreboard guy. Ollie Marmol, thus far in his career, is an abject, complete, and total failure on every possible front. You are not a Cardinal till you win a World Series ring. You don't even deserve to wear the jersey till you win a playoff series. Ollie Marmol has never won a playoff game. However, that being said, credit where it's due. He has managed 6 weeks of good baseball, probably the best 6 weeks of his career. I'm not even sure if it's close. This is not a great team. This is a young team. There's going to be some times where obviously they're playing well, but they're going to lose some games they should win, like 2 or 3 to the Pirates at home. They should have won that series. But, hey, I'm the guy. My problem is I love the Cardinals. And Ollie Marmol, is he up to par as a Cardinals manager? Probably not. But I give credit where it's due. 6 weeks of good baseball. Let's see it continue.
So you don't think this is going to be a Cinderella story with a team that just can overachieve all season and make it to the top?
To be fair to Ollie Marmol and be fair to those guys, this team is overachieving right now. I think they've got a great offense. Jordan Walker, just sometimes it clicks, right? But he showed up ready to play this year. He hasn't showed up ready to play in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So some of that stuff's working. The starting pitching's a little thin. I think if you were going to see this team make a real playoff run, you get into that late June, July, early August. I don't think that starting rotation holds up that well. I think you're going to have to add a piece or two to that rotation, which would mean trading some of those prospects they've been hoarding. And I don't really feel like this team is where you need to be to make trades like that. I think give it another year. And, expectations are going to be high, and rightfully so.
Yeah, if they can keep this young and exciting group together, they seem to have like mutual momentum, and those kind of things feed on themselves. How important was it, do you think, for them to sort of, I don't know if purge is the right word, but, they got rid of some older guys and high dollar, big name guys. You think some of these young and hungry guys that might be driving what we're seeing on the field?
I think there's 2 things. I enjoyed watching him play third base, but Nolan Arenado was not a good influence on this team. He didn't win in Colorado. He wanted out. He wanted out of here. He did some immature stuff the off season before, putting the Dodger thing up on his Instagram like a child. Yeah. I honestly don't think Nolan Arenado is a winning player, and I hate to say that because I certainly love watching him play third base. He's the best since Roland we've had at that position. I also think let me tell you J.J. Weatherholt's story. I was taping a show in Springfield one year, maybe the summer before last. And J.J. Weatherholt, our guys are there unloading equipment at 8:30 in the morning at the Cardinals ballpark at John Q. Hammons Field down in Springfield, pouring down rain. I see this one car parked, and I see this one guy out taking batting practice in the pouring rain at 8:30 in the morning. Now, I start asking around, who is that? That's J.J. Weatherholt. Oh, my gosh, we'd heard about Weatherholt, first-round draft pick. And I find out he's doing this every day, 2 hours before you have to show up for the game. You have to show up, make bad breaks. He's there 2 hours early. The dude's a stud. He carries himself like one. He is a winner. I think we traded a guy that, let's be honest, has never been a winning player in Arenado for an absolute winner in J.J. Weatherholt. And I think the results and the team plays to the leader. J.J. Weatherholt's the leader of that team. And I think we got a great one.
Hard work pays off. That's Scott Fawn. He joins us on Wake Up Missouri.
While we're talking sports, I think the only thing Scott Fawn loves more than Ollie Marmol is soccer. And the World Cup is coming
I'm
up.
actually a capitalist.
But you can't deny the
I
impact that's going to have for the state. You can.
I can deny the impact it has on me personally, and it has all of Southeast Missouri. But no, it's going to be nice for Kansas City. I mean, it's a good shot in the arm for KC. I mean, Kansas City, it's nice to see people rewarded. There's a lot of things going right in Kansas City. A lot of good things are happening there. If you talk to people in Kansas City, they're excited about their town. It is a fun place to be right now. And to me, these World Cup games are an acknowledgement of the success Kansas City's had over the last, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years. There's a lot of momentum building on the economic front, the sports front. Losing the Chiefs was a hit. But, I mean, I think there's a lot of good things going on in Kansas City right now. And these soccer games are a good addition to that.
And
I am going to go to one.
And what about this in political news? Big announcement yesterday from Wes Rogers, who I believe is a former state representative, announcing
my life.
Announcing for mayor. Your thoughts on that?
Wes Rogers is a quality person inside and out. I think Wes Rogers would make a great governor of Missouri. He'd make a great mayor of Kansas City. He was a great state rep. He is just the kind of guy you want in government making decisions for other people. It's kind of like Andrew Bailey. He just kind of has that ability to be common sense, intelligent, positive, and a kind person. He's the kind of person you want in government. Wes Rogers would be a tremendous way to carry forward that momentum Kansas City has going. I don't know who else is running, but I'll tell you this. I don't believe there's anyone that would be better for that job than Wes Rogers.
Scott, back to baseball, the whole Royals deal in the works, almost $2 billion for a new ballpark complex and all at Crown Center, and the magic words, public-private partnership.
I'll be honest with you. These special sessions that they did last interim, Jay Nixon did one on China Hub, if you'll recall, early in his time as governor. He didn't want to do any more. I think look, it's a great thing. I actually believe the Royals are going to be a value play. After the strike or the lockout or whatever happens after this baseball season, teams like the Royals, small market teams, the CBA is going to be more advantageous to them. They're going to get more of this national money. The Royals are, and not just the Royals, it's other teams that are of the size of the Royals market. They're going to be more valuable. Good for them. 81 games does try to make. Nobody goes to Royals games, but if they did, 81 games is better than 8 games for the Chiefs. I will say this: if you would have told the legislators we're going to lose the Chiefs and keep the Royals, that stadium package wouldn't have passed at the state. It is a terrible deal. It is a raw deal. Honestly, Mike Kehoe traded in an 85 Ford for a 06 Mustang, right? This trade didn't work, but that's what we got, so might as well make the best of it. It is not it's not a great situation. I would tell you that I think all the PQs from the end of last session and maybe all these special sessions end up with nothing. And hopefully it's a lesson on how to negotiate and come up with policies as Midwesterners should anyway.
Scott, as a keen observer for such a long time and an insider in the political scene in Jefferson City and across the state, if you were grading that final paper, I know it's graduation season, final paper and your final grade on the session just completed in the Missouri legislature.
I think it's an A. I think the truth is when the Republicans stop trying to run your lives, they're actually pretty decent at reforming government. You'll notice what you didn't have this year is a bunch of fights over abortion. Should a toddler have an Uzi, or how do we harass gay people? None of that was really the focus of session, and a lot of very good conservative reforms happened. It is true when Republicans will try to actually get out of your life, they're pretty good at government. It's just they normally don't, and so here we are. I thought they did a good job. I thought some common sense things happened. Obviously, all of government right now is hinged on what the income tax looks like. And I'm hearing rumblings that may pretty soon, maybe even today, go to an August ballot. If that's the case, You know, I personally think we need more time. I am for this. I believe in this package. I think we are a stagnant state, stagnant. And I think we have to it takes a bold idea and a bold plan to get things moving. I trust Mike Kehoe. I mean, John, I just got to say, I have a few employees myself. I've not created as many jobs as Mike Kehoe. I don't know anybody in and around government that's against this plan that's created more jobs than Mike Kehoe. I think we have to do something bold. This is something bold. I'm excited about everybody making the case of the people of Missouri. This is the right thing. This is the thing we have to try. But it's an uphill fight. We have an uphill fight going on, and I think it's going to be hard to grade things until we see how this turns out.
In the last minute we have with Scott Vaughn, I have to ask you, the other day, J.D. Vance in Kansas City called out Denny Hoskins, said, Denny, that's a nice blazer, man. If you wear that in the Oval Office, President of the United States would take special note. He is making a splash. Kansas City Star says how Denny Hoskins and his red jacket reshaped Missouri's top elections office. Lots of controversy still brewing over Missouri First, and I guess he'll certify it at the last minute. Where's that all going to fall out? Will we have a 6-2 or a 7-1 a year and a half from now?
I've known Denny Hoskins for over 15 years. I love him. I love Michelle. I don't really like slow walking things and kind of being unprofessional about how you certify stuff. But, I mean, look, Jason Kander would have done the same thing Denny Hoskins is doing. So we live in a partisan age. I will just say this. No one in the history of Missouri politics has gotten more out of a tacky jacket than Denny Hoskins.
Are voters going to approve of the redistricting, or are we going to have a retroactive nullification of it?
The strategy the Republicans have employed have made where the citizens' veto probably won't get passed in time to matter. They'll just draw a new map 2 years later for whoever wins. Yeah. It's probably not how Mr. Smith goes to Washington would say you do government. But the truth is, I go back to with the redistricting fight. How do Republicans say, oh, we're not going to do this when the Democrats would, and I give you examples in this state have, pushed every button on the election laws to their partisan advantage.
Yeah.
And when I look at other states, I think you said the Republicans shouldn't respond in kind.
So they did it. Yeah. We'll see where it all ends up. Scott, thanks as always for your insight on things. Really appreciate it. I hope you have a meaningful and restful Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you, buddy. Take care.
All right, there he is, Scott Vaughn. Let's check in on the markets on this last Friday of the market week before the holiday when we come back with the Morning Bell.
It's Wake Up
There's the bell on this Friday before Memorial Day. What's going on?
A little bit of a bump yesterday with the Dow up 0.55%, the S&P up 0.17%, the Nasdaq up 0.09%. As we look at the sectors, utilities was up more than 1%, while consumer staples and energy down more than 1%. And as we look at some economic indicators this morning, we're seeing mortgage rates hit a 9-month high, climbing to 6.51%. That's important because, of course, as we head into the warmer months, this is the busiest home buying season of the year. But concerns over inflation and the Iran conflict and rising oil prices have those interest rates pushing higher. And I think we just confirmed a new Fed chair that was sworn in this week, and there's even talks of maybe raising those interest rates rather than lowering them, right, Randy?
How's that affordability thing going for us?
Well, you might have seen Josh Hawley in the news because he was endorsing Trump's plan to suspend the federal gas tax as prices now, I think we heard earlier this week that in every state they're over $4, but they are on average at $4.50 a gallon currently. The idea was for legislation for a 90-day gas tax holiday, but our good friends at Reason are putting the kibosh on this plan, saying it's really not going to help you. The federal gas tax is only 18.4 cents per gallon. Analysts are saying that the average driver would save less than $9 a month.
Yeah.
That's not even enough for a lunch these days, Randy.
No, that won't get you anything.
And it could also create a $10.5 billion hole in the Highway Trust Fund. The fund already faces insolvency apparently within a few years. So they're saying this is all political theater, not meaningful relief for people who have to buy have And so we really need to figure this out.
It'd be mainly for the optics, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. We've got to see $1 decrease in the gas price at least, I think, by midterms to have people make sense of it. To give grace for it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think when they first started spiking. I need to pull up, I'm an avid budgeter.
I think it was that weekend, wasn't it?
On a monthly...
Yeah, it was pretty immediate.
I need to check. On a monthly basis, I'm not sure how much, because we drive a lot, right? Like, we're running kids everywhere. I'm in Columbia. I'm in Ashland. I'm in Jefferson
Your business,
City.
too.
Yeah.
So wasn't it February 27th? Wasn't that the start of the war? I think.
Because I could tell you what, like, my last year annual gas spend monthly was and what it is now. I probably don't want to
I was thinking about what you said yesterday. Do you actually keep a ledger of, like, every loaf of bread you buy and every bag of Skittles and everything?
Yep.
Oh. There's a diagnosis there somewhere, folks. Huh?
You don't know. I mean, I like to, you can't, what is it? You can't, it's not, there's a good saying.
If you don't measure it, you can't change it.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to know, right?
No.
All categories.
No.
You don't want to know?
No, I'm going to buy bread anyway. I'm going to buy bread. Well, not much. We don't eat much bread. Helene makes this wonderful stuff called, it's not focaccia. It's like sort of like focaccia, but it is.
Did I just hear you say you don't eat bread?
Not much. Nope.
I don't eat bread.
Yeah, bread is like the best.
No. Not much. Yeah. No.
Randy, you live a sad life.
For a treat. No.
You genuinely live a sad life.
I love
you don't
bread,
eat bread,
but I just try not to eat much of it.
It looks like I was averaging about $500 a month, December, January, February, March 2026. Do you want to hear the number?
Yeah, what is it?
$849.
Oh, wow.
We did drive to Colorado, but...
Well, okay.
And April was closer to $600. So yeah, you're looking at a pretty significant increase.
Want to do some winter
See,
50 cents a gallon.
At my fingertips. You need this.
Made a difference in my life. Winners and losers when we come up. Time of the week and the show and the day when we ask you for your nominations for winners and losers at 573-874-9390 for texting. You can call us 800-529-5572. Let's start with John Marsh. John, what do you have?
I got some winners and a couple of winners and a loser. Vice President right on our list. J.D. Vance made a swing through Missouri and stopped off at a 100-year-old Kansas City manufacturing plant. Sure sounded like a guy who might be running for office down the road. Ahmad is on the mend. Long road back. Ahmad Hardy back in Columbia and in rehab after recovering from that gunshot wound suffered at the concert down in Mississippi. And our loser, Columbia police say a break-in and vandalism at Art Underground last weekend. Not exactly hard to trace. They say the homeless guy, Justin Murphy, left his Google account open on the owner's laptop. They caught him on East Broadway wearing a stolen Art Underground T-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Kind of pointed a finger.
All right, good list there. I'm going to head. Drake, what do you have for winners and losers? Let's go with Drake here.
Let's go with me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have one winner. One winner.
Okay.
It's everyone who watches the NBA. Holy moly, this has been a loaded week. It's been amazing. We have playoffs, and every game has been a banger so far. So,
Man, how about those Knicks?
The Knicks are
on fire.
Well, they were on fire for the past 5 quarters, John. They really were.
Yeah.
Game 1 was not great. But
no.
The OKC Thunder, reigning national champions or finalist winners, I don't know how you'd say that in NBA terms. And the Spurs are playing tonight for Game 3, so look out for Wembenyama.
Okay.
Bum, bum, bum.
Sounds good. All right, let's go with Miss Stephanie Bell. What do you have?
I have some winners. I have to get to all of my notes because it's been a big week. But first of all, the Southern Boone Lady Eagles are on my list. They won their district championships last night.
Again, right?
Yeah, after a 1-0 victory over Father Tolton. Sorry, Tolton fans. But they improved to 20.
What sport? Soccer?
Soccer, girls soccer. They improved to 24-2 on the season, and now they go to the Class 2 quarterfinals and will take on Springfield Catholic on Saturday.
Good game.
So congrats to the Southern Boone Lady Eagles. My other, Randy's got some audio here maybe, but
it's not playing. Look at this. Is this because my Instagram doesn't work? Look at this. Look, I don't know. Oh, well.
All right.
Congratulations. The girls are happy. They're out there on the field jumping around. That's great.
My other winners are men with great butts. The Wall Street Journal had an article earlier this week that the secret to longevity is a great butt. And so, and I guess that makes all of us women winners as well, because hopefully the men are out there in the gym lifting. Big loser for the week, Stephen Colbert did his last show last night. Good riddance to him. And my other loser for the week is a local loser. Former Columbia parking manager. It has been charged. Prosecutors say he stole $45,000 in parking money from the city. But wait, there's another loser here, and that's the city, because apparently this wasn't his first parking theft conviction.
Correct.
Apparently he had been fired in the last year for stealing when he was working from Mizzou parking. So the fact that then he goes to the city and they say, you know who would make a great parking manager? The guy who stole money from Mizzou parking. So he's a loser. The city's a loser for hiring him. And also, like, $45,000 is a lot of quarters.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
I imagine him just walking around with cargo shorts, just like jingle jangling, right?
Maybe the loser is HR at the city, right?
Oh, Brian?
Hiring a guy with that kind of a record.
Yeah, Brian, didn't they say that he was spotted at the coin machines?
The court documents.
Feeding the coins in.
Yeah, and this one took a while. This one, Stephanie brings up a good point because he had the previous conviction.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what kept, I think it was from 2013.
Well, laundromats are expensive.
But that conviction there, but to John's point, it was a Walmart employee that's, according to the court documents, saw him dumping large amounts of coins allegedly into a coin machine called
$45,000 worth of coins.
That's a lot of coins.
That's a lot in his public works uniform, is what they said. So he was, he was arrested in March. So this took about 2 months for them to file charges, because I've been checking every other day, if not every day, at times on this. But they just charged him, and we'll see what happens.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I mean, Steph, that's hard to believe, Brian. I mean, how in the world can they do that? I don't know.
Well, and they say they're reviewing their processes right now to make sure this doesn't happen again. Yeah. So, and a lot of people like me, I do use I know Stephanie has the app and stuff, but when I go to court to cover court, a lot of times I'll just put a nickel or a dime in, and a lot of people, especially the reporters, they'll just, because it's just real quick to get in and out. Obviously, I'm not going to risk getting a ticket, but,
the app's kind of clunky.
It is, and I've heard complaints about that too. But yeah, I
use the app all the time. Are you technologically challenged, Stephanie?
It's just slow.
I would say
I like it.
I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
It's like you got to say okay, you got to put your name in, you got to put your number, the number off the meter in, you got to say how long you want to be there. Like, it's just like, it's like being at the gas pump. They're like, do you want to pump some gas? Yes. It should just start spewing gas. No. Do you want a car wash? No. Do you want your receipt? No. Just let me get the gas already.
Especially
this is how I feel about
when you're trying to get into court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw Mayor Fitzwater last night at the foundation dinner. I told him what a pleasure it was to be able to park for free, and he got a big laugh out of that. But maybe he could hire this guy and really, get this guy for cheap. This guy probably works cheap now, right?
Well, he's facing a felony here.
Well, the budget's tight in Jefferson City. This guy will probably, get out of jail free card and work. I don't know. I don't know. What an idiot. I mean, what the heck are you thinking?
It's bizarre case for sure.
What do you got, Brian?
I don't have any losers this week. I've got
What a surprise.
3 winners, and they all kind of blend in kind of the same. And I agree with Stephanie about Southern Boone and Springfield Catholic. That should be a great game as well. First of all, our listeners here at Zimmer and the many people in mid-Missouri who helped Columbia Police and mid-Missouri authorities find the lady with dementia, Nancy Thrower. People were constantly sharing our Facebook posts, sharing her picture, and she was found out there with no hydration for 24 hours. We're told she is safe and sound, so thank you. She had dementia. She was hiding in the bushes at times, and our thoughts and prayers are with her. So great job, everyone, for helping. And also the police, the fire, the various agencies for searching for her in very tough conditions. So congratulations on that. Second winner here, and Randy brought this up when I brought it up as a news story. We had this story the other day, but it's the body found in a trash bin, which we've covered. They've identified the woman from Columbia. But Boone County Sheriff's deputies quickly identified a suspect, Andrew Acton. He's currently charged with abandonment of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence in this case. And they did so very quickly in tough conditions again and made an arrest and now criminal charges, and that investigation continues. So kudos to them. And last but not least, you guys for showing up, Randy, Stephanie, John, Hal Dooley at the Jeff City Police Foundation. I appreciate that. It was great. I know the officers appreciated it. And then the food from the Capitol City Bluffs, if you will, there, and then all the award winners as well. Just some amazing stories. And as you heard yesterday, even in Jefferson City, Missouri, our officers are being shot at more than we even realize. It's really scary.
Did I catch you eating a couple pieces of cheesecake last night? That was awfully good.
One, and I had one, and then the other one I brought with, but I had to put it back because I put the diabetes. But it was good. The food was so delicious.
I was embarrassed. I was the only one at my table. I don't. Maybe someone else did. I ate my cheesecake. It's great cheesecake.
Oh my God, it was delicious. Yeah. I had mine.
My wife, of course.
I'm planning to wear a bikini this weekend. I did not eat the cheesecake.
I know.
Stephanie will be fine.
How boring. I'm telling you, Stephanie, I'm sitting next to Stephanie. I hand her the bread basket. No, thank you. And then she pushes the cheesecake away. Meanwhile, I'm like a snuffleupagus over there.
And I would have been happy to help us.
I was starved, man. Well, I eat a healthy choice for lunch every day. I mean, that's just not enough for this.
No, and you got to enjoy it. But as I told you, it would fill you up. But those steaks were just incredible. They really were. But great job. Thanks.
Hey, our winners, I guess, prospectively, I want to recognize again all the officers that were commended last night, as well as those who weren't. I mean, everyone who serves in a first responder role, whether you're an officer, an EMT, a firefighter, If you're in the hospital, manning the ER, the floors, thank you all for working this weekend shift. We want to recognize folks that work retail and work on the holidays, so we can go and pick up a head of lettuce or a hot dog if you're coming up a little shy for the party. We certainly want to recognize as winners. They're winners, and they might think they're losers, but they're winners. That's the family of the fallen. They're winners because they've endured enough to just be a service member's husband, wife, son, daughter, father, mother. But then to live the afterworld life that they live, they're winners in my book because they're a testimony to resilience and everything that is great about this country. It takes that kind of grit to make this country go.
Remember what Memorial Day is all about.
Yes, sir.
It is about the fallen military.
Yep. As Steve
10:30 ceremonies on the north side of the Missouri State Capitol Monday morning.
Yes. Right. As Stephen Bucci reminded us, this is not Veterans Day. This is Memorial Day. I think I got another. Well, I don't think there's any doubt as far as who we would say might be a loser, and it might be this guy.
House Democrats view this moment either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit.
Nah, ain't going to happen, Hakeem. You're a loser, dude. You think it's going to happen? You're going to break our spirit? Not going to happen. I think Tom Massey's a loser. He went from being, I think, a libertarian darling of the right to sort of a lost, wayward, I want to do a podcast anti-Trumper. I think Trump tolerates some policy differences. He doesn't like what became very personal attacks and didn't work very well there. So Massey and Bill Cassidy lost as well. And Amy Bach's a big loser. She's the Minnesota official who wasn't 40 years. I think she got a big fine for being involved in the fraud with the Somali the Leering centers and others. So anyway, and all of you are winners for hanging out with us on Wake Up Missouri, and we hope that you'll stay with us all next week and going forward as we continue the momentum towards America 250 on July 4th.
Just a quick note, too, that Centralia's Avenue of Flags, they have 650 flags up. I've just talked to the city. They're going to send me some pictures. I'll have those up as soon as they send them to me, 93andtheeagle.com. So it's really a breathtaking scene.
Brian, you're a winner. Great job on the MCing last night. It was good. Man.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate it.
And he cleaned his plate.
I know. They didn't have to put it through the dishwasher. I mean, they just put it right back on the shelf. We'll be back with leftovers.
It's